Hi YouTube, Tim Unkert here. In this video, we're going to look at factoring quadratics that have a common factor that you can factor out before you proceed to factor the rest of the quadratic. So let's look at problem 1. We have 3x squared minus 9x minus 24. So one clue here is we have a 3 in front of the x squared. And then if we look at the second term, we have 9. Well, 9 is divisible by 3. Okay. And then if we look at this third term, the constant here, 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 is divisible by 3, so 24 is divisible by 3. So this tells me before I start that I should factor out a 3. So when I do that, I get 3 times x squared minus 6x minus 8. Okay? So now I'm looking at this and I go, okay, could I factor this further? Well, let's list the factors of negative 8. So those are negative 1 and 8. 1 and negative 8. Neither of those add to negative 6. Let's keep going. Let's do 2 and negative 4. That adds to negative 2. Negative 2, positive 4. Well, that doesn't look like it's going to work either. So in this one, actually, we've just factored it as far as we can go. We can't factor this any bit further. So we're going to leave it as is. Okay, let's look at this next one. We have 20x squared plus 2x minus 6. Okay, well, we look at this and these are all even numbers, right? And so we can at least divide this by 2. And if I look at the coefficient in front of x, the 2 there, I note that, well, I can only divide that by 2. I can't divide that by 4 or 6. So I'm going to divide out a 2 here. I'm going to get 2 times 10 x squared plus x minus 3. Okay, so now I'm looking at this, and there's a couple different ways we could do this. We could do 10 times negative 3. That's going to give us negative 30. And then we can go from here and we can go, well, there's a understood that there's a 1 in front of here. So what are the factors of negative 30 that would add to positive 1? Well, negative 5 times positive 6 would give me negative 30 and add to 1. So I could split the middle here and do 2 times 10 x squared minus 5x plus 6x minus 3. And then I can do some factoring by grouping. I'm going to change these to square brackets. So I could do, take out the greatest common factor here, which is 5x. And then this would become 2x minus 1. And then take out the greatest common factor of these two, which is going to be a 3. So plus 3 times 2x minus 1. And then I can go backwards from double distribution, put these two together in a binomial, and just make this 2 times 5x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. Okay, so that's a way I could factor it. Another way, sometimes I list out the factors of the last term and the first term and see what combo adds to this term. That's another way you can do it. There's multiple methods. But okay, so we factor that one. Let's look at problem 3. So problem 3, we're going to factor this 15x squared plus 95x minus 70. So all of these, both the coefficients and the constant, they end in a 5 or a 0, so they're all divisible by 5. So I'm going to start by dividing out a 5. So I'm going to do 5, and that'll be times 3x squared. 95 divided by 5 is 19, so 19x. And then 70 divided by 5 is 14. Okay, so now to factor this, let's do the listing out the factoring method, or list out the factors method. So I'm just going to list out positive factors of the first term here, so 1 and 3, and then we have to list out the factors that multiplied to negative 14. So 1 times negative 14, make a little bit bigger 1 there, negative 1 times positive 14, 2 times negative 7, and negative 2 times positive 7. Now I'm going to demonstrate this other technique we use. So if I multiply a 7 times a 3, that brings me to 21, right? And then if I go ahead and multiply negative 2 times 1, well, that's negative 2. So 21 plus negative 2 gives me this 19. So I need to multiply these in an order that 7 multiplies by 3 and negative 2 multiplies by 1. So to do that, and I'm going to keep this 5 in the front, I'm not going to lose that. So I'm going to have 5. These are going to be the coefficients here. So let's just get my 2 parentheses here. So I have 1x, I can just write that as x, and then also 3x. Okay, the 3x has to be multiplied by a positive 7. So I actually have to put this plus 7 over here. If you're thinking of FOIL, you will multiply the inner terms. So you want to arrange them in that way. And then the negative 2 has to be multiplied by the 1x here. So I'm going to put the minus 2 here because the outer terms multiply if you think of FOIL that way. And once we get it to this point, we factor this as far as we can go. Okay, let's look at problem 4. We have 7x cubed minus 21x squared plus 14x. Now, all of these have an x in them, and they're also all divisible by 7. So I can pull out the greatest common factor of all three, which is going to be 7x. So I'm going to write 7x on the outside, and that'll be times x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, so what are the factors of positive 2 that add to negative 3? Well, if I multiply negative 1 times negative 2, I'm going to get a negative 3x. So I'm going to do 7x times x minus 1 times x minus 2. And there we go. We factored that one. Okay, so all of these, you want to pull out the greatest common factor and then see if the rest is factorable. Like, so for instance, in the first one, I looked at this one, I said, that one, it really doesn't factor. I probably meant to make this a plus 8. If I made this a plus 8, then it would have been negative 2 times negative 4 would have worked. But since I made it a minus 8, that one wasn't factorable. And then if you can factor it, go ahead, like this one, go ahead and factor it. You can pull out a variable if you want to. Anyway, so hopefully this video is helpful to you. If it was, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to support the channel in another way, you can also check out my link to my TeacherPay teacher store with both free and paid products in that store, as well as checking out a link to my website, which has just more math content. Anyways, hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.